Welcome to the June Developments in Safeguarding Masterclass on the last day of Safeguarding Week. Please ensure that your microphones and cameras are turned off. This session is being recorded and will be made available after the webinar on our website and YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more information, and sign up for our e-bulletin, which you can do on our website. Please ensure that your name and organisation are in the chat, and if you have any questions, please use the chat as well. I'm happy to introduce Sarah Arnott, the Commissioning and Partnership Manager for the North Yorkshire Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner, who is going to talk to us about commissioned support services for children, young people and families.
Good afternoon, I'm Sarah Arnott. I'm a Commissioning and Partnerships Manager for the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner. I'm one of 4 commissioning managers who look after a range of different support services. I'm here today to give you a kind of overview of some of the support services that you may find particularly helpful to refer any children, young people or families that you're working with. But we do also commission a huge range of different support services, and I just don't have the time to cover everything here. So towards the end of the presentation, there's a link to the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner's website, where you can find full details of all of the different support services and projects which we commission or fund that may be useful. So today, as I say, I'm covering a couple of different key services around children and young people in particular. And what I've done is broken them into different themes, and I will pause after each theme to answer any questions that you might have. So firstly, I'm going to be looking at support services available for families affected by domestic abuse, moving on to victims and survivors of sexual abuse, and then into exploitation, which covers both criminal and sexual exploitation, looking at the support we have for children and young people at risk of offending or are involved in antisocial behaviour, our engagement forum, and then lastly, I'll just give a quick summary of some of our other support services that are available, and some of the funding pots that we have available that may be of interest to you. So moving first into the support services for families affected by domestic abuse, we're really lucky in North Yorkshire. We have some fantastic partnership arrangements in place looking at holistically across domestic abuse, including the strategic priority setting through the joint coordinating group, and we work particularly in partnership with North Yorkshire County Council and the City of York Council to co-commission a holistic package of support services for anybody affected by domestic abuse, including victims and perpetrators. So the first of the services we have available is the Domestic Abuse Community-Based Support Services, which is delivered by IDAS throughout North Yorkshire and the City of York. This service can be accessed by anyone who is a victim or survivor of domestic abuse, and there is no lower age limit, so we are able to support teenagers who are in abusive relationships with other teenagers. However, we are not able to support children living in domestic abuse households with this service. We have recently commissioned IDAS to deliver a new pilot service which starts next week, initially in the York area, but we are planning to roll that out countywide from April next year. And that is a specific support service for children and young people who are affected by domestic abuse happening in their households. We are offering one-to-one support through specialist children's workers who will be able to work with those children and young people, and that service is linked to the Operation Encompass scheme. For victims, we are able to offer immediate advice and support over the telephone, and support and safety planning through a central referral hub, which is staffed by IDFA-trained hub workers who will talk through and give some triage and immediate advice and support over the phone. We're also able to offer one-to-one, longer-term emotional and practical support through our community-based domestic abuse practitioners including support through any police investigation or criminal procedures. We can provide target hardening equipment where necessary to keep victims safe in their own home, which includes changing door locks, providing panic alarms, and a range of other equipment. And that's all supported through group work and peer support networks that are there and coordinated through our trained volunteers to help people with their longer term recovery. That service is available for all genders and regardless of sexual orientation. And as I've said, there's no lower age limit where we see teenagers in abusive relationships with other teenagers. Referrals into the service can be made directly through IDAS, and you don't have to have reported an incident to the police to access support. Referrals can be made online at the IDAS website, via email to their info address, over the phone through their free phone helpline, and they also offer a live chat web facility Monday to Friday around tea time, which can be accessed via their website. Like I say, it's a really fantastic service that helps a huge range of people who are victims and survivors of domestic abuse. The next service to support that is for families experiencing adolescent to parent violence or abuse, and also young people who are displaying abusive behaviours within relationships with other young people, again delivered through IDAS. This is a mixture of the Respect Young People's programme, which specifically looks at child or adolescent to parent violence or abuse, and also supports parents through telephone support and online support to help them as well, giving them advice on safety planning, boundary setting, helping them manage the kind of family dynamics. And a new element to this service is around a specialist one-to-one programme for young people who are displaying abusive behaviours with other young people. So this is where they are in a intimate relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend type relationship, and we're concerned about some of the unhealthy behaviours that they are starting to display. There's also supported group work and peer support networks for parents alongside the one-to-one specialist support available. Anyone young people aged 10 to 16 years can access this service, or their families, where it involves the child or adolescent to parent violence or abuse, and it's available for all genders. Again, the referrals can be made direct to IDAS through the website, through the Respect Project email address, over the phone, or via the live chat facilities. Part of the work that we're doing currently as well is we are working with Respect, the national organisation who originally developed the Respect Young People's programme, to look at how we can adapt and offer a more intensive programme and package of support for young people who are displaying more high-risk behaviours, more serious violence towards their parents and family members, and working with the Youth Justice Services around developing a new package specifically looking at those more high-risk behaviours, and we're hoping that will be available later this year. We're also working with the early help teams across North Yorkshire and City of York, alongside ISAS and Respect, to look at some early interventions that we can offer to families that may be working with the early help teams or local area teams who aren't quite at the level where they need this specialist support, but do need a bit of support and advice around potential child and adolescent to parent violence and abuse. So again, there's lots of work going on at the moment. We will try and keep you updated through the OPFCC website and through the Safeguarding Partnerships websites as things are progressed. And then the last service to mention around domestic abuse is the Positive Choices service, which is available for adult perpetrators of domestic abuse. This is delivered through our partners Foundation UK, Again, it's quite a holistic package of support, from initial triage, advice to perpetrators, including emergency temporary accommodation, generally up to around 7 nights, where we would like to remove the perpetrator from the family home to give the family some respite, and potentially support them to find their own accommodation longer term. They also offer one-to-one and group work support through the Positive Choices Perpetrator Programme, and also support, as I say, perpetrators to address any wider needs around housing, finance and benefits, accessing substance misuse treatment services if appropriate, and liaising with other organisations, including children's social care, if the family is working with them. Anybody aged 16 years or over who's a low to medium risk perpetrator of domestic abuse or believed to be a perpetrator of domestic abuse can access this service. It is a voluntary service, so it's not something that we can make people attend, but generally we do find that the engagement's really good, where people are ready to address and change their behaviour. It is available for all genders, so we do work with female identifying perpetrators as well as male perpetrators, and referrals can be made back direct to Foundation. There's 2 email addresses on screen, and there are area phone numbers to contact the area-based project workers, as well as the emergency out of hours phone number if emergency temporary accommodation is required for a perpetrator. So that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the domestic abuse support services. So I'll just pause briefly in case there's any specific questions around domestic abuse. As I said, this is a evolving area. We're doing lots of work with our partners and with organisations like Respect and Safe Lives to see where we can improve and expand on these services. This has obviously been an area that has been particularly impacted through the COVID pandemic, and particularly where there's been lockdown, national lockdown periods, and we've worked really hard with our local providers and partners to make sure we're still able to offer support to families where needed. I can't see any questions in the chat, so I will move along, but feel free to pop in a question at any time. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was around sexual abuse, and we have a range of services available to children and young people who are affected by sexual abuse. So the first one to mention is our Child Sexual Assault Assessment Service, the CSAS service. This is delivered locally by Mountain Healthcare Limited, who also deliver our Adult Sexual Assault Referral Centre service for adult victims and survivors of sexual assault. This is a crisis and forensic medical service for children and young people from birth to 16 years old who have disclosed sexual abuse, or where it is suspected that that may have happened. Young people up to their 19th birthday with additional complex needs can also be seen within the CSAS service if it's felt to be more clinically appropriate for them. The service offers specialist forensic medical examinations to collect any forensic evidence of sexual abuse. And we have a split-aged service, so older young people aged 13 years or over are seen in North Yorkshire 7 days a week, generally 11 AM to 7 PM, and that includes bank holidays. Children and young people who are aged 12 years or under can be seen either at weekly clinics on a Friday at Bridge House in York, or if there's an urgent forensic medical examination where timescales are imperative, we have the option for them to be seen at our partner CSAS over in West Yorkshire if they're unable to wait till the next Friday clinic. Non-recent cases are seen at the Friday weekly clinics, and we have specialist paediatric crisis workers to support the young people and their families 7 days a week, including bank holidays and weekends. And there's also telephone advice available from specialist paediatric forensic nurse examiners and paediatric consultants. Sorry, tripping over my words there. Who can also input into any strategy meetings and help advise whether it's appropriate for a child or young person to undergo forensic medical examination or a non-recent holistic assessment. Referrals can be made direct through to Mountain Healthcare. There is a phone number there to contact them to discuss any potential referral. However, to note, unlike all of our other services, referrals can only be made by police, children's social care or healthcare practitioners due to the safeguarding processes and controls around this type of service. It's not a self-referral service, and any other organisations should contact the police or children's social care if they have concerns about a child or young person where it's suspected that sexual abuse may have occurred. Following up from that, we also have available the Independent Sexual Violence Advisor services. So more often than not, if people have attended our CSAS or our adult SARC services, they're offered a referral into the ISVA services, who can offer free, confidential and independent advice to victims and survivors of sexual abuse of any age and any gender, whether or not they have reported to the police. This service is offered by IDAS across North Yorkshire and the City of York. Again, they're able to offer immediate advice and support and triage over the phone, as well as longer term one-to-one emotional and practical support through specially trained ISVA workers. We also offer support for non-abusing parents and guardians of younger children, generally anyone aged under 12. As well as supported group work and peer support networks for longer term recovery. This service is also available to any adult victims of historic child sexual abuse, and we do work with children and young people of all ages. We have 3 ISVAs who have been specially trained specifically to support children and young people who have been victims or survivors of sexual abuse or assault, as well as ISVAs who are specially trained in supporting male victims and survivors, people with additional complex needs, older people, LGBTQ, a whole range of different types of victims and survivors that they can support. Again, referrals can be made direct to IDAS online, via email, over the phone, or the live web chat facilities. This is a self-referral service. They will accept self-referrals, but obviously if a child or young person contacts them and discloses potential sexual abuse or assault, they will follow the appropriate safeguarding processes and make a referral into safeguarding where it's believed sexual abuse has happened to a child or young person. And then finally, what we have available, this is actually available to any victim or survivor of crime, including sexual abuse, domestic abuse, or any other crime type. We offer a counselling and talking therapy service. We have 2 providers across North Yorkshire and York, which is Community Counselling North Yorkshire and Survive. This is specialist counselling and talking therapies, as I say, for anyone who's been a victim of crime, whether or not they have reported to the police. I've included this under sexual abuse and domestic abuse because the vast majority of people who are referred into our counselling services are victims and survivors of domestic and/or sexual abuse. That includes children and young people aged 17 years or under, and we have a specialist counselling service specifically for children and young people with specially trained counsellors, in addition to the adult counselling service. Again, this is available to all ages, all genders. Referrals in this instance need to be made via our Supporting Victims team, which is an in-house victim support service for any victims of crime that's offered through the Office of the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner. You can contact them by phone, online or email, and there is a secure email address for agencies to contact them and include client details for anyone you believe would be appropriate to benefit from our counselling and talk and therapy service. It is free. Unlike some other counselling services that are available in the community, there isn't generally a waiting list for this service. We do obviously prioritise our more vulnerable victims and young people. There is a transition at the moment as a result of COVID and the ongoing impact of the pandemic. As you will appreciate, we had to move to virtual counselling support sessions for the majority of last year. That could be either over the phone or via a video calling, Teams, Zoom, and Google Meet as some of the ways that we can offer that service. However, we are currently transitioning back to face-to-face counselling sessions where more appropriate. So we do have a small waiting list of people who decided to wait until that face-to-face offer was available again. But otherwise, generally, we don't have a waiting list, and people can relatively quickly be seen by a counsellor and allocated a counsellor to work with them. Again, I'll just pause briefly in case there are any questions around those services that are more focused around sexual abuse. So the next area I'm going to talk us through is a range of support services we have for children and young people who are at risk of exploitation, and also support for their family. So the key service here is our Hand in Hand service that is delivered by the Children's Society and looks at child sexual or criminal exploitation, and also missing from home, children who regularly go missing from home. So they offer both targeted awareness raising in schools and often do assemblies to raise awareness with young people around the risks of sexual or criminal exploitation, as well as doing direct support to children and young people at risk of or known to be exploited through a mixture of one-to-one support with young people, as well as group work and online support that's available. This support is available whether or not they are going through any sort of criminal process, whether it's being reported to the police or not, and does look at how we can try and help young people to make more informed, positive choices about who they're engaging with, both in the real world and online. So this is available to any child or young person affected by or believed to be at risk of exploitation, whether that's criminal and or sexual exploitation. It's available for all genders and regardless of sexual orientation. Referrals should be made directly to the Children's Society via email to the service manager, Zoe Stevenson-Jones. So alongside the support that we have available for young people, we also offer support to their parents. It's recognised that parents can be really key in helping us to ensure the safety of children and young people who are affected by or at risk of exploitation, and also can be really valuable sources of information and intelligence to support either the police or children's social care to be able to properly safeguard those young people. So Parents Against Child Exploitation, or PACE, deliver a parent liaison officer service, which offers that support to parents or carers of children who are affected by or believed to be at risk of exploitation. So generally these are the parents of children and young people who are being supported through the Hand in Hand project, but we will also offer support to parents whose young people disengage or decline support through the Hand in Hand project. Again, this is a mixture of one-to-one work with parents as well as group work where appropriate, where we bring parents together so they can share their experiences and support each other. This is particularly important, I feel, for parents in these situations because often they can feel blamed and feel like they've failed their children and young people in some way. So having other parents to support them and offer that reassurance is really beneficial to them and helps us to keep them engaged in working with us as partners to safeguarding their children. So some of the ways that they can support parents to help each other is their secure online parents forum, as well as their befriending scheme, which connects parents in similar situations together so that they don't feel as isolated and alone. Referrals can be made direct to PACE via email to the service manager, Leah Tailforth, and her email address again is on screen and will be shared after today. So I'll just pause briefly if there's any questions around support for young people at risk of exploitation. So the next section outlines services that we have available for young people who are at risk of offending or may be involved in antisocial behaviour. So the first one is one of our newest services that just started last month in May. I'm trying to remember whether we were in June or July. So this is the new Change Direction Young Persons Diversion Service that is delivered by North Yorkshire Youth. As I say, it's a very new service that commenced in May and aims to engage with young people at an early stage before any sort of criminal behaviour becomes habitual. And so it really focuses on trying to look at the circumstances for both young people and their families and communities to try and look at some of those underlying causes of offending or antisocial behaviour. The scheme's open to any young person aged 10 to 17 years who may be at risk of entering the criminal justice system or are known to the police, including those who are not offending but are involved in antisocial behaviour or very low level criminal activity. Again, this is a key worker service that offers one-to-one support to young people that uses a trauma-informed approach to look at those underlying causes and contributing factors to their behaviour. The key workers will also advocate on behalf of a young person and signpost them into other specialist services to help with any of those underlying needs. Referrals can be made by professionals working with young people, including schools and colleges, as well as parents and guardians of young people can refer their child into the service. This needs to be done through our Orkuma online case management system. So if you click onto our web link, you'll be asked to enter your email address to then be sent a individual link to refer the young person into the service. Alternatively, you can contact the Youth Development Manager, Claire Yates, to discuss whether a referral would be appropriate and work with her to submit a referral for that young person. So we also have mediation services available that's delivered through Arch Resolution. This isn't specifically for children and young people, it's available for anyone that would benefit through that. Oh, I've just lost my screen. So they offer two elements to the mediation service. One is specifically around family mediation to try and support resolution of family disputes and conflict within the family. And the other is around community mediation across four key themes of antisocial behaviour, neighbour and boundary disputes, verbal abuse, communication breakdowns, as well as cultural differences, including low-level hate crimes. This is available to children and young people as well as adults, and referrals need to be made via your local community safety hubs within the local authority. And the final element that we offer as well is specific anger management counselling services. So this is delivered through community counselling and again available to young people and adults, and focuses around helping a client to recognise their triggers and also helping them to learn how to better manage their emotions, equipping them with some key skills and techniques to manage their triggers, as well as looking around their kind of confidence and self-esteem, which is often an underlying issue around anger management or lack of emotional control. And they can work, as I say, with clients of all ages across some key areas. Again, referrals need to be made via the local community safety hub, so you can contact them through the local authority if you think you are working with a child or young person who may benefit from anger management. And I will pause briefly before moving into the next subject. So we also want to involve young people in the work that we do, whether that's around developing support services specifically for children and young people, but also engaging with young people around what matters to them in terms of crime and community safety is a really key area of work for us. So we have commissioned Leaders Unlocked to facilitate the North Yorkshire Youth Commission, which helps us to engage with young people, to give them the opportunity to inform the work of both the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner and also North Yorkshire Police as a whole, particularly on key subjects that impact most on young people. So the commission is made up of young people aged 14 to 25 years. We target groups, underrepresented groups of young people, particularly those from BAME communities and LGBTQ communities, to make sure that we have a diverse voice of young people. And they engage with young people throughout North Yorkshire and the City of York through various settings across schools and community settings. They primarily use the KIMS game, which some of you may have heard of, and stands for Keeping Your Mates Safe, as a way of facilitating that engagement, which means they're able to work peer-to-peer to have big conversations, as they're called, around some of the key areas that affect young people. As part of that work, they've then agreed their 6 Youth Commission priorities for the next year or two, and these are particularly focused around relationships with the police and improving those relationships, hate crime, drugs and alcohol and substance misuse, abusive relationships and domestic abuse, missing young people and exploitation, including both sexual and criminal exploitation, and mental health and well-being. These are the areas that they feel are most important to them. And these are the areas that we then continue to have those conversations with the young people who sit on the Youth Commission and help inform the new police, fire and crime plan moving forward, so that we can make sure our work and our priorities are aligned to those priorities of young people. Any young person can apply to join the Youth Commission if they're aged between 14 and 25 years. There's more information on the PFCC's website, and there's also more information about Kim's Game and how that can be used to engage with young people and have some of those conversations about keeping themselves and their friends safe. So as I mentioned at the start of my presentation, we commission a huge range of different support services. I haven't had the time to go through everything that we commission, and there's other areas of work that we do, particularly around reducing offending and early intervention work. Across a range of other areas. We also offer a lot of other services that are available specifically to adults, including the adult-backed diversionary schemes, alongside the young person's change direction scheme that I've mentioned today. One of the key ones, if you are working with anyone who discloses that they have been a victim of crime, anybody is able to access our support and victim services, whether or not they've reported that to the police. This is also our independent third-party reporting route for hate crime. If anybody makes a disclosure of a hate crime, that report can be put through to our support and victim service. They are able to offer immediate telephone advice and support. They will also assess a person's need for ongoing or specialist support through any of our other commission services, including the ones that I've highlighted today. And they can also signpost and liaise to other partners and specialist providers where required. As I say, anyone who's been affected by crime, whether or not they've reported to the police, can access this support, and that includes the parents or guardians of young people, bereaved relatives, and staff where a business has been a victim of a crime and it's affected them personally. Referrals can be made online through the Support and Victims website, as well as email, and there is a specific online form to report hate crime. Alongside that, we have our Independent Victims Advisor service that is delivered through Victim Support, and they're able to offer a specialist one-to-one support to victims of more serious crimes, excluding domestic or sexual abuse, and also to our particularly vulnerable or persistently targeted victims of crime, and that includes young people who have been victims of crime. Support is available for all ages and genders. And again, referrals can be made via the Supporting Victims in North Yorkshire team, online or email. Victim Support also offer a live web chat facility 24/7 for victims to contact them direct for support and advice. So as I say, that was a real kind of whistle-stop tour of what I felt were the kind of key support services that you may wish to refer children or families into as part of your work. Just a quick overview of some of the other work that we do through the Commissioners Community Fund, which was established to help support local organisations and groups to develop new and innovative community safety schemes, and that's provided funding to a lot of local charities, residents groups and other organisations across North Yorkshire and York. One example is the detached youth work delivered by the YMCA in Ripon. They successfully applied for funding through the Commissioners Community Fund to engage with vulnerable and marginalised young people in Ripon, with the aim of trying to reduce antisocial behaviour and encouraging young people to take part in some of the diversionary activities available in the area. The other pot of funding that we have available is the Community Safety Services Fund, which is available again to local community groups, charitable organisations throughout North Yorkshire and the City of York, and is aimed at supporting proactive diversion and early intervention schemes, specifically focused around reducing reoffending or victimisation and increasing community safety, using one of 3 service delivery models. So either developing a community-based volunteer service, looking at targeted prevention and early intervention services, whether that's diversionary activities or positive activities, and also targeted early intervention, emotional and mental health projects based in the community. Again, one of the good examples of a project that's been funded through the Community Safety Services Fund is the Local Intervention Fire Education Project, or the LIFE project, which is delivered by North Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service throughout North Yorkshire and the City of York. And this looks at working with young people who have come to the attention of the police and fire service because they make hoax 999 calls and or deliberately set fires, or are involved in other associated antisocial behaviour. And the LIFE course aims to engage with them in a positive way, and get them to recognise that the implications of what they're doing, and try and get them to engage with other young people as well, to discourage them from setting fires or making hoax calls in the future. All of the commission services and the funded projects that I've kind of summarised today are available in detail on our website, and there's a link there. It includes all of the referral criteria and pathways, so don't worry if you haven't had a chance to scribble down email addresses and phone numbers. They're all available on our website, and I've shared them through the Safeguarding Partnership and are available on the Safeguarding website as well, including the contact details and referral pathways. So if you do think that you've got working with a child, young person or a family member that would benefit from any of these services, please do pop in a referral. And is there any questions, comments or feedback on any of that? I realise that there's probably some areas that I didn't go into as much detail, just conscious of time. So feel free to ask any questions. I do appreciate that was a lot of information, and I do sometimes talk quite quickly. So if at a later date, when you've had a chance to kind of digest the information and had a look at the slides, and you think of a question, you can contact me. Hayden, if you want to share my email address, and then if anybody wants to get in touch with me at a later date, I will try and answer any of your queries as best I can.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for that presentation. It was very informative. There's a lot of great work that's been done by the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner supporting services. So with that, that's really the end of the masterclass. Just a reminder for everybody that if you want to keep up with the latest information, don't forget to sign up for our bulletin. It comes out on a monthly basis. You can sign up for free on our website.